As you know, onboarding is one of the most important aspects of the customer success journey. And today, I want to showcase the Customer Onboarding Maturity Model developed by Rocketlane so that everybody who's watching the video can really assess, is their onboarding phase aligned with best in class? I have the wonderful Sri Ganesan, the co-founder of Rocketlane, with me today.
Hey, Rit. Pleasure to be here.
So awesome that you could take the time to kind of walk us through how did you develop it? What is it about? How should people that are listening to the video can use it to really up their game on customer onboarding? When you look at your customer onboarding maturity model, you kind of went through these 4 dimensions. If you show them again, which one do you see is the one where most companies needs improvement in?
I think an orientation around value and an orientation around measurement are 2 things which I find typically lacking in most companies that we engage with. I think people in general know that they need to get better at customer experience and delivery, and they may be doing their own small things in processes to make an impact over there. They may not have the most high score, but I think there is awareness that, hey, we need to do better. How do we change things?
The value orientation dimension is one of the ones that you're seeing most companies are scoring the lowest at. Where do they shine?
I would say most people do have some sort of methodology in place. They do have some variation to it based on, like, is it a mid-market customer or an enterprise customer, etc. And they're forced to sort of plug some gaps in their customers' maturity. So in that sense, I think adaptability and orgs has its own natural evolution. So based on the stage of the company, we do find that people are consistently making changes on that front and improving their scores. But value orientation, I think one example I love is how this really resonates with most people when we tell them, hey, when you finished onboarding really an awesome brand, your marketing team comes to you and says, hey, I want to do a case study with them. And that's when you realize that you never did anything around like understanding what the value is going to be that you're unlocking for the customer. You didn't benchmark where things were before to even be able to measure the value that you delivered. So that's a very common thing we've seen with a lot of folks.
If you liked what you've heard so far, that's awesome. More coming in a second here. But in the meantime, I want you to click that like button so that YouTube knows that this is great content and you can start sharing it with others.
I think you have like track the customer satisfaction in each milestone. I don't think a lot of companies do that, but it sounds like your team has actually implemented some of these recommendations. Can you show me what exactly are you doing? How do you implement these recommendations into an actual day-to-day onboarding operations?
Here's an example of plan that we've created, which is going to be like a template that we use for every customer. So when you go through this, you will see that some of these are milestones. So the idea is at these key milestones in the journey, we're going to collect CSAT automatically from the system. And we're going to measure, hey, what percentage of these milestones were delivered on time? And we can additionally tie outside of CSAT as well, other actions that need to happen like notifications and so on when you deliver on these milestones. So that's something that we have used and relied on at Rocketlane. So what we have, for example, is a CSAT report, which is going to show you, hey, what are the recent CSAT survey responses from customers? And then you can group them by milestone to learn a little more about, hey, for all my kickoff meetings, how am I doing? What's the feedback that I'm getting? Or for like our solution process, what's happening? Or for like the go live, what is the feedback bit? So for each of the key milestones in the journey, we set up a CSAT, and it's super easy because it's not like a long survey. It's like a Uber style rating, 5-star review and a comment that a customer has to leave, which increases the fill rate of those CSAT surveys that go out.
Do you serve these surveys via email and then the responses or maybe in app?
Yeah, so it triggers an email as well, but we have a beautiful client portal. So the idea is that when you come into that portal as a customer, whether you came from an email or otherwise, you have that option to rate the experience you had. It's going to show up CSAT rating option right here.
Wow, cool. And then it's just a click and they're done. So, and they're going to be in this page anyways throughout the onboarding project. So you
that's right. Here's where they're going to collaborate on tasks with you. So yeah.
Another dimension that you covered initially was the manageability and productivity. So a lot of companies don't have a dedicated onboarding system. And if they do, it's probably like more of a project management system. And one of the things that you have on your best in class is to be able to get automated alerts to customers around status updates, follow-ups, reminders. God knows, sometimes we have a dedicated person just to send reminders to customers. How do you make this automated? Can you kind of demonstrate if companies want to automate that aspect and scale their onboarding processes? What are the types of options that they have in order to become best in class?
Yeah, so I think the automation is an important dimension because it's also, in a way, a forcing function for ensuring things happen on time. If you let your customer success person or onboarding team member do the follow-ups and push out updates, then you need to next monitor, hey, did they do the follow-ups? Did they send out those updates? But you make it part of your system. For example, over here, for each of these tasks, if I assign this task to someone on the customer side, I'm going to assign it to Ross. So Ross is going to get a reminder a day before the due date automatically. Ross is going to get a notification if this task becomes overdue. So it's not about the customer success person's judgment now. Hey, is it too soon to follow up? Will I come across as too aggressive if I ask about this again? Yeah. So it goes out of the picture. Likewise, status updates. Like there is a beautiful way to set up a template for your updates saying, hey, I want to showcase which tasks are overdue. And I want to push it out to the entire project team on a weekly basis. So you sort of configure a template and then you set it up to say, hey, publish this every week on Friday extra.
That is so cool. We actually at CSM Practice do this manually. We literally send out a status update report of all the client tasks that are due, which ones are late, which is open, which do we need a status update from the client on. And we do this literally copy paste from a spreadsheet into an email. You can completely automate this entire thing. Look, this doesn't replace a person, but it helps them. First of all, it zhuzhes up all your emails. It looks fantastic. But instead of them compiling stuff manually or not remembering doing stuff, because there's certainly a lot of recurring things that we do with clients every week. So it makes sure that the experience is consistent. It looks better. And oh, by the way, you can completely automate it. So now your project managers and your customer success managers who are responsible for onboarding and implementations can be busy doing something much more important. They can use their time for something that's much more productive and much more impactful to the customer versus, this wastage on manual work.
Other sort of little trick over there is that if you're doing it manually and if there are tasks that the customer needs to complete as well, it becomes your responsibility to poll them about, hey, did you do this? Yeah. Can I update it in my weekly report? I'm going to publish this, etc. Now, everyone knows this is going to go out on Friday, 5 p.m. So they better go and check off what they did to ensure the whole team gets an accurate depiction of what's actually done.
Before we continue, don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel and smash that notification button so that you don't miss out on any new videos.
This customer onboarding maturity model that you built, who is this for? Is it for customer success executives? Is it for a CSM? Who should be concerned about going in and pressing that link in our video description and kind of filling it out?
I would say anyone in customer success will do well to have an awareness around where they are on a maturity scale. So a leader obviously can take more action, but even a customer success manager should want to be curious about hey, what are we doing well? What are we not doing well?
I absolutely agree with you because while there's some things that are big items, do we have a system in place? Do we have all the processes documents? Some of them is something that is well within my control. Did I talk to the customer about their outcomes? I don't need a system for that. I don't need a process for that. I need a process that works for me. It's a question that I can ask a customer on the next time I see them, next time I onboard a customer. I can improve my own process, even if the company is lagging in creating a consistent framework. Would you agree with that?
Makes complete sense. You're right. People do have some control over their behavior, how they're consistent in communication or setting the right expectations and all of that as well.
Absolutely. Even within a CSM, is it targeted for a specific industry, like mostly software companies, or have you tried it on different industries? What do you think?
Onboarding our professional services team inside a SaaS company is just another services team. So my take would be that a lot of this, for any sort of client-facing project delivery, this may be a decent model to look at.
Yeah, I actually looked at it for, like I said, for CSM practice and how do we onboard our clients. And that model worked for me as well. And I'm like a small services firm. So I would love, if anybody's watching this video and they're not from a SaaS company, to actually take a stab and let us know in the comments, did that work for you? Yes or no? And what worked and what didn't. Okay, so how often should we use it? Is it a one and done? Do you recommend kind of like benchmarking against the customer onboarding maturity model once a year, once every 2 years? What's your recommendation?
So firstly, I think we are also evolving this. So it makes sense to check back once in a while if we've added a new dimension as well. But my take is once in 3 to 6 months, just to understand, hey, we did some new initiatives in our organization over the last quarter. What has that impacted? How has our score changed? Or rather, it could even be once in 6 months, you do this exercise to identify a few key initiatives you want to run and try over the next 2 quarters. And then you can come back after 6 months to see, hey, what's impacted and what's changed.
Anyone wants to take on the customer onboarding maturity model and see how they score and benchmark against best in class, the link is included below. The link also gets you to a very comprehensive blog that I think everybody should read. I think it was like super interesting so this is the maturity model, but then there's like a lot of information about each dimension. You can really dive in to really understand, what each of them means and how it can do things. So check that out. And then of course you have your Propel conference.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about that as well. So we are doing the first ever conference focused completely on customer onboarding and implementation teams.
Mind blowing. I mean, this is such a greatly important phase in the customer journey. And there's so many aspects in it that we need to actually nail. That is absolutely fantastic initiative. So if anybody wants to check it out, you already have the registration open. When is it?
It's on March 15th and 16th.
Yeah, so probably once a year. So if this is like in August, check the Rocketlane website for, when's the next conference, and kind of plug it in your calendar, because most of these conferences are like every March, like they tend to be sort of the same on an annual basis. So thank you so much for organizing that and really putting a focus on this topic, customer onboarding. I'm honored to be in it as well. If you want to listen to me talk about first value delivered. So it's going to be a great event. Check the links out to sign up your team. And we're excited to release this video. And yay, listen, if you took the onboarding maturity score, if it worked for you, comment in the link below. How much did you score? What are the areas that you need to improve on? We'd love to hear from you. And Sri, thank you so much for joining me today. This was awesome.